Hello and welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well. Quite a lot of things to cover this week. It's been, a quiet couple of weeks, I guess, over Christmas, and before that, Thanksgiving. Things have definitely been slowing down, but now it does feel like things are ramping up again, so that's very exciting. So first thing to talk about is a new blog post by Vesa Juvonen, all about adaptive card extensions. Now, if you haven't heard about these before, these are relatively new. I think about them as almost like little snippets of the cards. They're like little snippets of code that you can drop in to show one specific thing. The interesting thing about them, they can kind of show up in SharePoint. They can show up in Viva Connections as well. They can show up in Viva Home. I think they're kind of cool. So I'm going to show you the blog post, and then I've been playing with them, so I can show you one that I've done as well. So this is the blog post, which is talking about a new learning module. So if you want to jump into making adaptive card extensions, then you absolutely can do, and this is a great learning module to do so. It teaches you kind of all your options, how they show up in, how the cards that you build show up in Viva Connections, and then how you can create your own custom ones as well using SPFX, which is cool. So you do all that, and that's what it looks like. So this is the new learning module. So you can go and check this out today, which is great. Let me see if I can just kind of show you an example of what an adaptive card extension is, because I've been kind of messing around with various different things. And one of those things is all to do with energy and electricity. And if you know me, I'm doing some stuff with solar panels, and I'm going to do a video about that actually, which is nothing to do with tech. I mean, except that solar panels are quite geeky and techy. But like in the next couple of months, I'm going to put that video together, hopefully. But in the meantime, I've been wanting to track how much I've been spending on gas and electricity, because as you know, like energy prices are all over the place at the moment. And I found an API for my provider, which means that I can do something like this, so this is my own tenant. It's kind of a test tenant. This is SharePoint. And this is my dashboard, and this is an adaptive card extension here. What I'm doing is pulling in from an API. I'm actually pulling in from an Azure function, which does the hard lift, like the heavy lifting of calling the API, rendering the results and formatting and stuff. But this gives me like the last known data, which was a few days ago, around what I paid for electricity and gas, and how that compared to the day before. So up and up, but it's kind of comparing Saturday to Friday, which is kind of normal. So I thought that was interesting. It was a great use case for me, because not only can I surface that there, I can surface it on my mobile inside Viva Connections in a kind of very simple dashboard. I can share it with the rest of the family. I see myself creating more of these adaptive card extensions to represent other bits of the kind of electrical messing around that I'm doing around the kind of solar panels. And it would be great to be able to go in and see at any given kind of point of time in day, where the sun is shining, so the solar is generating electricity. What percentage is it generating for the house? Is it 100%? Are we charging the batteries? Are we feeding back to the grid? All sorts of fun, geeky things that I can do. And I think adaptive card extensions are going to be a really nice way of visualizing a lot of that data. So they're good for stuff like that. Small snippets of information that you want quickly accessible. You can take actions from them as well. You can put buttons on them I forgot. I didn't even show you that. Sorry, hang on. 2 seconds. I'd forgotten there was this whole extra bit of adaptive card extensions I didn't even talk about. So you can have buttons on them, and you can pop out extra information. So if I click more here, I get this. I wrote, like, you write this, like I did this. You can put this additional information in around, what your rates are, what your charges are, this is what I did. But you can put anything in here really. You can have action buttons, do other things. So it's exciting. So it's a good new tool that we have in the toolbox, I guess, for representing information. So that is adaptive card extensions. There's a new learning module all about it. At some point, I will do a big blog about all of this kind of solary stuff and how I've turned it into something useful with adaptive card extensions, and probably Power BI as well, because I'm generating and collecting a lot of data. So it'll be a fun project to kind of put through Power BI as well. Anyway, we're getting off track. New thing. So that's the first thing. Second thing, SharePoint. has a new Graph API endpoint for SharePoint pages. Now, we've talked about this before, I'm sure we have, but it is now available in public preview. I think the last time we talked about it, it was in private preview probably, or something like that. Anyway, it's now in public preview. There's a brand new blog post from the SharePoint team talking about how it's available to everyone. If you're in GCC High or anything like that, it's coming really soon, but not quite yet. And this is we've definitely talked about this, right? It allows you to kind of list your SharePoint pages, but also update them, which is really interesting, and publish new news posts and news items as well. So it makes all of that kind of SharePoint news stuff massively more useful because you can now control it programmatically. So yeah, I'm going to not touch on this loads because I'm certain we've talked about this before. But the kind of big announcement this week is that it's now available to everyone in a public preview. So that's cool. Okay, let's step kind of sideways from technology for a second and talk a little bit about goal setting, because it's the start of the year and that's the thing we're supposed to do. And there's a million blog posts about goal setting. This one is kind of interesting because it's talking about Microsoft Viva Goals as well. And I quite like this. So I think you just have to, like, this is, so this is a blog post by Microsoft. It's by a CVP for Microsoft Viva Goals. So you know it's going to be promoting Microsoft Goals. Okay, so, but if you could sort of take yourself away from that from a second and be like, yeah, I know I'm going to kind of be sold Microsoft Viva Goals, and that's sort of the point of the blog post. Actually, the content in here is really useful. So if you can read it with that mindset around, okay, I'm going to learn about goal setting and I'm going to learn about how it fits into Microsoft Viva Goals. If you can do that with a kind of fairly objective mindset, actually, I think it's a really good blog post. Don't get all indignant, if you like, you're being sold Microsoft Goals because, Viva Goals, because that's sort of the whole point of the blog post. It's a marketing blog post. That's what it's there for, right? But there's a lot of really useful information in here. There's a lot of good advice. There's a lot of good examples around and about how to set good goals, how to set them correctly, how to revisit them over time, and all that sort of stuff. So if you are thinking about goals and OKRs as well, and I've recently kind of got into OKRs a little bit, so I'm kind of interested in all of that. So if that's you as well, then this will be interesting to you. So I think read this blog post for what it is. I think it's got some really useful stuff in it. And absolutely, like, you can use Viva Goals as well to manage your goals and your OKRs, but you don't have to. And if you don't, you can still take good stuff away from this blog post. All right, let's get back to the techie bit a little bit. This is something that is brand new and it just appeared on the roadmap. And we don't have any details about it, but I wanted to tell you about it because it is going to be kind of interesting when it comes. So this is the ability for bots to notify specific people in a meeting. So for bots to be able to send in-meeting notifications, not to everybody, but to specific people in a meeting. Now, this is brand new. We've got no information about it. It's just shown up in the roadmap as in development. We don't know, other than the fact that it's going to apparently GA in February. I feel like that might be true, or it might actually public preview in February. We're going to have to wait and see. Or we'll go to beta possibly in February. Anyway, I think this will be interesting because that you can see why people would want to do this. The way I see this maybe happening is that it's going to happen obviously from a bot, but the bot is going to need to already know the participants in the meeting. So you're going to be able to specify the meeting coordinates and also the participant information, and then you'll be able to send those meeting notifications. I don't quite know what an in-meeting notification will look like when it goes to specific people. I don't really understand what that means. Is that a chat message that only goes to you? Is it a different type of notification? Does it show up as an activity? I guess not, as in your activity feed, because then you're not in the meeting. So maybe it's something else. Maybe, I don't know, maybe it pops the stage for you, but only for one person. I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see. So this is going to be new functionality for Microsoft Teams developers. It's going to be new functionality for the in-meeting experience. So excited to keep tabs on this and see, what happens as it progresses through the roadmap. And then hopefully we'll get more information as it gets closer to being launched and going GA. And then something kind of not quite similar, but also in the roadmap, kind of coming out of that development phase and coming into that rolling out phase, is something we've definitely talked about before. which is the ability for graph developers or API developers to access the event messages that happen in conversations between users and bots. So that's this roadmap item here for edit and delete events, edit and delete event support for messages in user to bot chat. So I know we've talked about this before. Basically, you can all those messages which you can currently access, you'll soon be able to edit them. You'll be able to delete them as well in those kind of chats that your users have with bots. So that's good to see. I think, we've definitely talked about this before. It's been around before. It is due to GA this month, so we'll kind of see how that goes, I guess. Again, I feel like maybe it's going to come to the beta endpoint first, but yeah, we'll just kind of wait and see on that. And then the last thing I want to cover very quickly, and not in like fine detail, is Microsoft Teams Premium. Only because there's a new blog post by Mary Jo Foley, who's now at Directions on Microsoft, and it kind of talks through and gives some detail to what's in and what's out of Microsoft Teams Premium. And I don't think there's anything in this blog post we didn't already know, because when Microsoft put together the announcement blog post for Teams Premium, they listed those features which were going to be in Premium. And I suppose what they didn't do is call out the things that were currently available outside of Premium that are going to move into Premium only. And that's sort of the point of Mary Jo's post here, is that Microsoft is moving some things away from what was currently available into Premium. And so I think really it's the live translated captions, which were to more or less extent rolled out. They're moving into Premium. So you'll still be able to do transcription. You'll still be able to do transcription live, but only into one language. Having it translated as it goes will become a Premium feature. The other things on that list, I think, are all new, and they're coming to Premium first, or initially, or just, they're not also coming to the core experience, but I think they're all new. I don't remember any of those other things being there, apart from possibly some organizational analytics in virtual appointments. You can get Teams Premium free for 30 days, and then it reverts back to core, or you could pay for it. And then there's lots more detail in here around kind of what's going on with Premium and how to get it, and how to, when you can get it, when you can't. There's also an update around the classic free version, which is kind of changing as well. So businesses will no longer be able to use that classic free version of Teams, and they'll have to have Essentials, probably, something like that. So that's just one to be aware of if you've got businesses using the free version of Teams. So lots of detail in Mary Jo's post. So if that's of interest, go and read it. I don't want to make this a massive, great, deep dive into Teams Premium, because I don't know that much about it. So, all right, that's everything from me. Like I say, it does feel like things are starting up again. So that's exciting, and a busy week for me, certainly, which is good. And I hope for you too. So whatever it is you're doing, have a great one, and I will talk to you again next time.